Boys were at the bottom of the servants' hierarchy, grubbing i' the muck and mire, as his mother said, far below the elevation of the senior staff, the upper 10, or the uppers as they were called. Life on the lowest rung of this social ladder often entailed cold food, scanty victuals, and meagre holidays. But on tour with the prince, Harry had discovered to his delight his life was quite different. Here at Easton, for instance, where distinctions of rank were observed below stairs as carefully as they were above, Harry, a mere groom, outranked not only the Countess's stable boys and grooms, but her ladyship's chief groom as well, or so it seemed to Harry. At meals and between, he was awarded all the honours befitting his status, such as slices of grouse and pheasant left from the table above stairs, and magnificent sweets, and even a glass of the estate's best home-brewed beer, served by a solicitor's kitchen-maid with a seductive smile. For Harry, life had suddenly become very sweet. The royal stall, which housed Paradox, the prince's hunter, was marked with the prince's insignia. Harry stopped before it, set down the wooden bucket filled with oats, and cocked his head, frowning slightly. In the dimness, Paradox was moving about, stamping a nervous forefoot, flicking an anxious tail. Something had disturbed him. It was none of the Eastern grooms or stable boys, Harry knew. They were a lazy lot and had arrived at the servants' breakfast late, accepting their reprimand with sleepy-eyed equanimity. It was none of the gentlemen either, for although one or another might rise for a dawn canter across the Essex hills, last night's entertainment— parlour games, Harry had understood from the footman's sly comments at breakfast— had been late and boisterous. Breakfast was already laid upstairs for the earliest risers, but Harry would have wagered a tanner that none were yet out and about. He'd have lost his money. While the young groom was still pondering the horse's nervousness, a nearby door opened with a creak. A man, a gentleman wearing Norfolk tweeds and a shooting cap, a stick under his arm, was briefly silhouetted against the light, then slipped inside and closed the door. He moved furtively, and Harry's frown became a knowing grin. Surreptitious assignations were commonplace at country house parties, according to the footman who had reported on last night's frolic. While Harry personally felt that such a rendezvous was more appropriate to a lady's chamber, behind a discreetly closed door and between scented sheets, he could also imagine that a more daring lady, or one whose husband had a jealous turn, might prefer to carry on her amorous intrigues somewhere else, in the straw even. Harry grew warm, recalling the brazen allure of the kitchen-maid who had placed her hand on his. But now was not the moment for such thoughts, pleasant as they were. Silently, he raised the wooden bar and slipped into the royal stall, ducking under Paradox's warm belly. If a lady were expected, she would no doubt soon appear, and it would not be prudent of Harry to make his presence known. Best wait in the stall until the business were over. But Harry had as much curiosity as the next man, and he wanted to see which of the ladies had consented to a tryst in the stable. Was it the red-haired one he'd glimpsed sweeping across the croquet lawn yesterday afternoon, her hair like flaming embers? He had heard that red-haired women were looser in their morals than other women, and she was said to be an American. Perhaps— The door creaked again, and Harry stood up to peer over the side of the stall. He saw a cloaked woman enter, close the door and stand still for a moment, as if getting her bearings. "Over here," came the husky voice of the waiting man, and the cloaked woman turned swiftly. The light was poor, but Harry did not think it was the red-haired lady. It might even have been a slender man. Unfortunately, the answering voice offered no clue. It was low and husky, and had a certain sweetness, but it could have been that of either a woman or a man. "Where is your colleague?" the cloaked figure asked. "I assumed that he would be here as well." "Momentarily," the other replied. His voice was eager. "Then you have decided to join us?" "Quite the contrary. I wish no part of this sordid business, and I've come to tell you so."